everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Ghastly, and this is the first speed build video that we have done in January, or for 2020, so I'm super excited for that. And of course, with the Paranormal stuff pack coming out today, what an appropriate build. Now, I did not plan on doing this build for the Paranormal stuff pack. It's actually part of a series that I've had kind of in the works for a couple of weeks. I would say about a month now. I've been kind of working on combining my love of paranormal and haunted places with my love of The Sims, and I'm actually going to be doing a whole series of different haunted houses around the United States. So I am super excited to start this out with one of my absolute favorites, which is the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast, also known as the Lizzie Borden Murder House. So basically, just to give a quick kind of overview of why this house is so haunted and so scary, Lizzie Borden lived in the home with her father Andrew Borden, her stepmother Abby Borden, and her sister Emma. Now both Lizzie and Emma were pretty well into their 30s at the time of the murder, and they were still living at home with their parents, as her father was a very wealthy man. He was worth about what today would be around $7 million. So Lizzie was definitely wanting to live the life of luxury through her parents, but unfortunately that was not the case, because Andrew was a very frugal man, and there are a lot of rumors that kind of came out through the investigation and kind of from the townspeople of Falls River, Massachusetts, where the house is located, that Lizzie ended up killing her parents because she got kind of tired of waiting to inherit their money. So she wanted them out of the way so she could go ahead and take the money and live the life that she thought she should be living with all that money, instead of what Andrew kind of forced her into living under his roof. So as the story goes, on the morning of August 4th, 1892, Lizzie came home to find her father Andrew dead on the settee that he had gone in to take a nap on just after breakfast that morning. So she went to go find the doctor who actually lived next door to them, but he was not home at the time. So she goes. At this time, she starts looking around for her mom because, okay, her dad's just been murdered, so where's her stepmom at? So she goes upstairs, and from there, she can actually see her mother's body. Well, not her mother, her stepmother. Her mother actually died when Lizzie was about 12. So the stepmother came in, and she just absolutely hated her. Like, they did not get along at all. She felt like the stepmother was kind of taking over her dad's money and just all kinds of bad blood. But anyway, so she comes in, and as she's going up the stairs to the second floor, she sees her stepmother's body laying on the opposite side of the bed in the guest room. And she can tell at that point that it's just not good. So she definitely had pretty similar wounds going on to what Lizzie would have found with Andrew when she walked in to find her father dead. Now, although Lizzie is the one who originally supposedly found both Andrew and Abby dead, she was quickly one of the first suspects that came up as far as who did the murders. So the only people in the house at the time were Lizzie and the maid Bridget. But the maid Bridget actually had an alibi because she was supposedly out washing the windows during one of the murders, and then she had gone in to take a nap later. So that was supposedly when the other murder was supposed to have happened. Lizzie did not have any kind of alibi at the time, so she quickly was looked at as the first suspect to kind of come up in the whole thing. And of course, this was later solidified when they found an axe in the cellar of the home that had the handle broken off, and there were also reports from one of Lizzie's friends that she had been burning a dress in the stove of the house. So this was actually one of Lizzie's best friends that kind of went and told the police, hey, this is not right. This is kind of weird considering everything going on. So that really became some of the first evidence that really linked Lizzie to the case. Of course, Lizzie tried to say that, oh no, it wasn't her, that there must have been someone who came into the house and did this and killed her parents. They actually had been, the house had been broken into about a month or two before the actual murders happened, and several of Abby's things were stolen from her dressing room, but other than that, nothing really had disappeared from the house. So Lizzie tried to say that, oh hey, this person had come back and now they had killed her parents, and of course, nobody really knows the true story of what happened there. Interestingly, though, it only took 90 minutes for the all-male jury to decide that Lizzie was acquitted from all of the charges. They said that she did not have any blood on her from the murders, and also that she just, with her Christian upbringing and her good background and good breeding and all of that she just wasn't the kind of person who could carry out these murders. Just as we'll never know if Lizzie is actually the one who killed her parents, there's also a lot of uncertainty as far as the motive for the murders. Of course, several people from the town believed, even after she was acquitted of the crimes, that Lizzie did this because she just wanted the money more than she wanted her parents, pretty much. That she was just tired of waiting. And of course, there are some who feel that her sister Emma was in on it, but as Emma was away visiting friends at the time of the murders, there are also those who say no, Emma had nothing to do with it, that Lizzie waited until her sister was gone to do this. There's actually a report from a local pharmacist, Eli Benz, who said that Lizzie was in a couple of days before she actually killed her parents to the local pharmacy, and she was looking for a certain kind of caustic acid that is actually incredibly toxic. And the pharmacist was kind of like, no, I can't give you this. You don't have a prescription. This is incredibly lethal. Like, this is not something to play around with. So there's also that kind of, was Lizzie plotting this murder or was she not? I don't know. There are some people who also say that, oh, it wasn't Lizzie. It was actually Bridget, the maid. She was tired of having just horrible conditions because the servants' quarters in the attic were, I mean, they were freezing cold. They were overly hot in the summer. It was not a good life to be a servant back in those days. So there are a lot of people who feel that she just got tired of dealing with it, honestly, and just decided to kill the Bordens and maybe take their money from them, thinking that, oh, you know, these sisters, they're in their 30s and still living with their parents, which actually back then wasn't like as weird as it would be nowadays, I guess. I mean, it's not really weird, but like it wasn't as uncommon, you know. So she just thought, oh, hey, I can just kill these people and take their money and just be done with it and go back to wherever I want to live. But there's also the theory that Lizzie and Bridget were actually in a relationship and that they ended up killing Andrew and Abby to kind of hide that relationship from them. Now, of course, Bridget disappeared not long after the family, or the Abby and Andrew, were murdered. So that kind of blows that theory out of the water, because if they were hiding a relationship, then wouldn't she want to kind of stick around and stay with Lizzie, who actually went on to live until 1927. She ended up buying another house. She moved into kind of a more coastal, upscale area, and she bought a house right on the ocean. Well, I don't know if it was the ocean, but it was like a very coastal area. So she bought this house. She called Maplecroft, and she actually lived there with her sister well after she was acquitted for the murders. So it really took quite a while to work on this build because I really wanted to get it as accurate as possible as far as what the home would have looked like back in the time of the murders, and also kind of what it looks like now as a bed and breakfast. You can go and visit this, and a lot of people, paranormal investigators, will go and kind of spend the night and see if they can meet the ghosts of Lizzie or Andrew or whoever is in the house at the time. The dining room that I'm currently working on, as you can see here, was actually the room that Abby Borden had her autopsy done in following the murders. Interestingly, this room was actually 2 bedrooms when the Borden family moved into the home, and Andrew later converted it into the dining room, which is actually where they would have had breakfast right before the murders occurred and right before Andrew went for his fateful nap on the settee in the parlor. Nowadays, if you visit the bed and breakfast, the dining room is actually home to a curio cabinet where you can see replicas of the skulls of Andrew and Abby. Now, these skulls were horribly mangled by the attack itself. They were actually used in court once they were removed from the bodies during the autopsy to show kind of the severity and the horror of what these poor people went through at the time of their death and just how gruesome these murders were. Although the nursery rhyme that kind of came from the event states that Lizzie gave her father 40, and then once she saw what she did, she went and gave her mother 41 whacks with the axe. It was actually a little bit closer to about 10 blows to the head with the axe for her father, Andrew. One of those actually ended up cutting his eye socket in half, and another one ended up severing his nose from his face. So, I mean, it's really hard to think of this well-bred, mannerly, supposedly mannerly young girl. Well, I guess she wasn't that young. She was in her 30s, but still, for that time period, a woman being able to do that kind of thing to a person just really kind of makes you wonder what was going on there. So, as far as her stepmother, she ended up having 19 blows. One was about a 4-inch deep gash into right between her shoulder blades. Another one was to the side of the face, and the remainder of those were to the back of her head and neck. So it still seems like once Abby was down on the ground, that was kind of when the remaining blows. And there had to have been a lot of anger there too, which again kind of points to Lizzie, because she really was not happy that her mother had died. So her mom had, it was called uterine congestion. And I'm not exactly sure what that is. I think it's probably like a PCOS kind of thing. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that. But Lizzie was just not happy that her actual real mother was dead, and here was this new woman, and they just did not get along. And it was like the evil stepmother scenario. So you could definitely imagine that kind of anger, kind of built up, pent up frustration that could have led to the number of blows to the back of Abby's head that she did receive. And just a quick note on the downstairs, I did go ahead and split what was originally going to be a larger living room up into two, because there was the sitting room, of course, with the horsehair settee that Andrew was found on, but there was also then that side parlor that I added on with the multiple couches, and that is actually the room in the house where Lizzie was told that she was being investigated for killing her parents. So I felt like there are a few areas that I have left out of the house, but I felt like that was definitely an important one to incorporate. Speaking of important areas in the house, that first bedroom that I just finished up there was the guest bedroom, and this would have been where Abby was found after the murders had happened. Going further back, we also have then Lizzie's bedroom, and then the smaller bedroom over to the side is Emma's bedroom. And then further back is the master suite, which actually normally would have been completely locked off from the rest of the house, but for functionality Sims purposes, I've gone ahead and opened up and made that a door that can be walked through. Now that the home functions as a bed and breakfast, the master suite is definitely the room that seems to have the most paranormal activity going on. There have been reports of footsteps and kind of lamps trying to turn on and off and stuff in Lizzie's bedroom, and a few cold spots and kind of hearing footsteps throughout the rest of the house. But actually, during one of the tours, a picture was taken of the master bedroom window, and a woman appeared looking out the window who looked quite a bit like Abby Borden, kind of looking out over the house. And there have actually been reports of kind of shadowy mists and cold spots and all kinds of things picked up in the master suite of the house. Two other areas that are actually currently well known for their paranormal activity are the basement and then a room in the attic area of the house known as the children's room or the chimney room. So the basement is believed to be haunted because that, of course, is where the axe was found, and also Lizzie was found kind of washing her parents' clothing down there, which was really unusual for a woman to be kind of down in the basement at that time, and it just seemed kind of odd. So that has always had kind of an air of mystery to it. And the children's room is actually believed to be where the neighbor children came over after their mother tried to drown them and then killed herself later after the murders had occurred. So they kind of came over to join the ghostly goings on at the house, I guess you could say. Unfortunately, being a Sims build, I wasn't really able to add in the attic room or the basement. I know we can do basements, I just really don't like them. So yeah, that's about it for this build, and we'll go to the screenshots, but be sure to leave me a comment and let me know what haunted buildings you would like to see, and I will see you soon. Bye!